from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
Back to the Prophet in Ramadan on Hoda TV.
There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Fiqh of Zakah. Just previously we were speaking about a very important topic, which is treasures and minerals in especially Zakah, how to go about finding it. And Sheikh, you expanded upon some really interesting things. One was that how honorable a Muslim should be. Somebody should be upright and so forth. Another thing that Muslims have to find out, especially when it comes to Zakah, is what do they do when they get income that comes in all of a sudden? How honourable they have to be. Because zakah, like you said, is something which they want to give and they should feel like giving to the poor. Can I give you an example? Somebody's got a lunar year and it finishes, say, just before Ramadan. And just before this, he inherits a big amount of money. What does he do? How does he incorporate this into this zakah?
Sure. While we were gone for a break, I just remember a sound hadith in which Prophet Muhammad Salah was describing how honest should be people. When he said that somebody purchased a house from somebody from the nations before us. And he found a treasure, a jar full of gold in it. So he took it to the previous landlord, the one who sold him the house, and said, well, I found this money in the property, it's yours. He said, well, you bought it from me, I sold it to you, then it belongs to you. He said, I cannot take it because it was buried in it and it is yours. Just imagine, they were arguing that everybody wanted to give it to the other. Look at the honesty. Because they believe that there will be a day of resurrection, reckoning, and everybody will be held accountable for every penny that we earn. How did we earn it? And how and where did we spend it? So anyway, they kept arguing and disputing, and they decided to seek the judgment of a righteous man. They visited with him and said, this is the case. He said, do you have children? He said, yes. And do you have children? He said, yes. One of them had a son and the other had a daughter. He said, well, marry the son to the daughter and spend on their marriage from this treasure. And by that he diffused the problem. That shows us how important it is for a person to be honest and to make sure that you would not take anything, claim anything that is not yours. Even if it is something that you find in the street, you have to announce it. And if it is a valuable thing, you have to announce it for an entire year, so that the person who lost his property may go back in the same road or street and look for it, so he will claim his lost property. Now if somebody owed a zakah on his wealth, and let's say that he pays his zakah every year in the beginning of the month of Sha'ban or the beginning of the month of Ramadan, and he had some income that came to him or earning right before paying the owed zakah. Obviously, there is one case where if he did not own the Nisab, then once an earning would come to him, and this earning is equivalent to the Nisab or exceeds it. In this case, we will start counting a new hawl from the moment that he earned that Nisab. Whether he inherited or got it as a gift, or he profited from a business that he was running or investing in it. But if he has already the Nisab and he owed the zakah, he was about to pay it in a few days or next month or so, we will have to look at this earning and see. It is one of three categories. The first one, or the first case, is if this profit or money was a growth of his possession, his investment. He owned so much shares in the stock market, and just a few days before he pays the zakah, the market went up. So now his money was doubled. In this case, because this profit was a natural growth of his already owned nisab, then this entire money will be zakatable, and he owes zakah on the entire thing once the zakah is owed and due. Even though he earned it just yesterday, and the zakah is due tomorrow, as long as it is within the hawl. Why? Because we said in the past, if somebody owned the nisab and possessed it, then in the middle, it fluctuated. It dipped down or below the nisab. So we said, according to the more right opinion, that we start over whenever he possesses. We don't say in between, if it goes up and down, that we consider the beginning. No, we consider once you maintain the nisab from point A to point B, the end of the hawl, the end of the 12 lunar months. So this is the first case. If the growth of, or the profit is a natural growth of what he already possessed, min jinsihi, of the same category.
Yep.
It can be, according to the second case, it can be of the same category, cash and cash, gold and gold, but or cattle and cattle, but not as a result of what I already possess. For instance, I have the nisab and I'm supposed to pay the zakah, then I received an inheritance. This inheritance is cash and I already have cash. Or cattle and I already have livestock which is zakatable. But this is an independent wealth. It is of the same category, the same type of what I have, but it was not as a result of what I have.
It wasn't a growth of an investment.
It was not a growth of my position. So in this case, what you do is, you start a new hawl for this new earning. Okay? As long as you already own the nisab, you start a new hawl. And whenever the particular earning that I have earned completes a hawl by itself, that will be a different year than the regular year which I pay my regular zakah. So, if somebody earns his salary, that's not a growth of my my investment.
No, it's not.
So this is money I get, but it's a result of my hard work, of my job. So in this case, you have two choices. The first one is either to put a timetable and say, I earned this salary on the month. So next year around the same month, I would pay zakah on it. And each month likewise, but this is very confusing and troubling. And not everybody can do that. And that's why I would say, since it is permissible and okay for a person to pay his zakah in advance, I say, once you earn this money, and it is from the same category of what you already own as a nisab, then it is better to pay the zakah on it all together, whenever the hawl is due. You don't have to, but this is better in order to take you out of the confusion of specifying a hawl for each earning. This is an inheritance, and this is a gift, and this is a salary. You're going to have too many commitments to pay on specific times. The third, an earning that is not from the same category, such as, I'm a businessman. All of a sudden, somebody give me 40 sheep. 40 sheep. That is the nisab for the sheep. But I'm a millionaire. I was never in the livestock business. So this livestock that I have gotten, or I purchased, or I inherited, would have an independent hawl, because it's a different category of wealth. Even if it is, he has sheep, and he's gotten some camels or cattle. So each position would have its own hawl if he wishes. He has this allowance, or it is permissible for him to do so.
Great, Jazakallah khair. Now you're speaking about hawl again. I'm going to ask you a question which is very close to what we're discussing, Sheikh, is what happens if somebody's coming to the end of their lunar year? Like, for example, let's look at somebody who has crops, for example. He's coming to the end of his lunar year now, and just before the end, something devastating happens. Either his crops get destroyed, or unfortunately sometimes robberies happen and so forth. What does he do then? Now he's come to the end of his lunar year. What does he do?
This is a very important question. In order to answer this question, we have to first answer a question before that, which is whether zakah is a responsibility of the owner or it is due on the holdings themselves. The holdings, whether it's the cash or the cattle, the livestock, or the crops. Ibn Hazm, and this is also the famous opinion of Imam Ahmad, believes that the zakah is a responsibility of the owner of the nisab. So he says, if he owed a zakah and his entire wealth, crops for instance, were ruined once the hawl once the crops were collected and he owed a zakah, then he must pay the zakah due on. But he lost the whole crops. According to their belief, the effective cause, that it is due on the person, the responsibility of the owner, not the holdings. Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, and others believe that it is due on the holdings. So he says if the person was not the reason, nor was he negligent, or did not cause his belonging or his possessions to be destroyed or ruined, it is not his fault, then he's not blameworthy. He doesn't owe any zakah, even though it was due, because the entire holding were destroyed. Okay, that's why Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi, may Allah have mercy on him, said, the purpose of zakah is to entertain and assist the poor. Right?
Yeah.
So if somebody lost his property, he is poor. He's eligible for zakah. We cannot just overburden him by asking him that you have to pay zakah while you already do not have any possession. And I do not believe somebody would intend to destroy his wealth or his properties because there is zakah owed on it. In order to waive the zakah or not pay it, he would just ruin his entire wealth. That doesn't happen. This is a different case than if the person separated the zakah fund and he was going to pay to the poor and he was robbed. In this case, he has to repay it, because now this is an amana. He separated the zakah fund, whether it's cattle and the sheep died, or a camel bint Labun or bint Makhad and it died. You have to bring another one. It is your responsibility to give it in the hand of those who are eligible for it or entitled for it. Before that, if it dies, if it's ruined or robbed, it is your responsibility to make it up.
Jazakallah Shaykh Muhammad for all your beautiful advice today. As you can see, another episode of the Fiqh of Zakah, very informative episode. Until next time, I leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself, cure your greed, purify your wealth. Look around at where you live, look at all the good you have to give. Give a little of yourself. There's a hand somewhere to hold, a mouth to feed. There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves. Know Allah sees each and every hidden deed.